the board conduct this meeting in a proper format. If there are any questions, the board will have the ability to ask David for his assistance and expertise. We also have First Deputy Clerk Megan Raimondo at the table, and we have Second Deputy Clerk Michelle Severett helping a confidential secretary Yvonne Rojas Cohen. So this way everybody has a name to the faces. We're gonna get into the reorganization business for the town for 2026. And for clarity and for the record, we're gonna take each resolution separately. I'll read the resolution, a second is going to be required, and then that resolution is going to go to votes. So we'll start with the first resolution, and that is for our town board vacancy. As many of you know, when I got sworn in as supervisor, vacancy vacated. And I'm proud to say that the resolution is going to read, be it resolved that the town board hereby appoints Reggie Earls to the position of town board councilperson for the year 2026.
Yeah, all of discuss. I just want to say I've worked with Reggie on the town board for 5 years, and I know he's always a person who votes from the heart. He always votes what is best for Woodstock, and I'm happy to have somebody who will be voting for what is best for Woodstock. I think we all will. I think we have a board of 5 people who will vote on what's best for Woodstock, but I have experience with Reggie.
Thank you. Any other discussions?
Just to add that I think it's well known that Reggie has human resources experience, which I think will bring a lot into the board, especially those it's kind of.
I agreed, and I think that as we have some new folks at the table, we'll also have experienced folks at the table. And Reggie will bring a very different perspective to the town of Woodstock. So I'm proud to pull the board for your votes. Laura? Aye. So that's passed. The next resolution, be it resolved that the town board hereby acknowledges and confirms the supervisor's appointments for the calendar year 2026 as follows. Daniel Gallant as deputy supervisor, Anola Cordes as budget officer, and Yvonne Rojas Cohen as confidential secretary to the supervisor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And just for the record, if nobody says this, I'll jump in, that we can certainly share.
Town board appointments, these don't ordinarily require votes, but I wanted to put it on the record that we're gonna put it on the record. Be it resolved that Laura Ricky is appointed liaison to the Environmental Committee and Complete Streets Committee. Lily Korolkoff is appointed liaison to the Housing Committee. Lori Osmond is appointed liaison to the Civic Design Committee, and Richard Hepner is appointed liaison to the Cemetery for the calendar year 2026.
I'll second. I will say the environmental is actually a commission rather than a committee. So,
Noted.
but I will definitely second that.
Okay, votes.
Oh, aye.
Laura, councilperson.
Aye.
Aye. And that passed. Be it resolved that for calendar year 2026, Anola Cordes, supervisor, is appointed social services officer, personnel officer, and disaster relief officer with no additional compensation. Dawn Ray is appointed HIPAA officer. Anola Cordes is appointed delegate to the Association of Towns, and Daniel Gallant is appointed alternate delegate. Megan Raimondo is appointed registrar of vital statistics, records management officer, tax collector, and records access officer. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved that Megan Raimondo is appointed deputy first clerk for the calendar year 2026 and shall be compensated pursuant to the adopted 2026 town budget.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And then I also thank Megan for what she's done so far. She's been a quick learner, and you're back.
Thanks.
Be it resolved that Michelle Severett is appointed second deputy town clerk for the year 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And thank you to Michelle also.
Be it resolved that Richard Hepner and Janine Fallen Maurer are reappointed town historians for the calendar year 2026. All in favor?
Second. Second. Aye.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Megan, if you want us to slow down, please just, all right, we're going.
You're doing great.
Okay.
So,
Just
go back up right here.
Be it resolved that Peter Cross is appointed chairperson of the planning board for the term to end 12/31/2030.
Yeah, and if I could clarify, I'll second it for the purpose of this. I think that the chairperson is normally, and so Anila did a fabulous job, believe me, this was a ton of work on her third day on the job to get this out. But anyway, I have a couple things this week along, I'll just mention. Usually it's an annual appointment, so the way it reads, it looks like he's gonna be chair until 2030. The chair would be an annual appointment. I believe.
And that in discussion, we can double check this, in discussion with him today, he.
You believe he could do it?
Yeah,
So,
that's his term, so we can look into this,
Sure, well, we.
and we can modify it on the 20th.
We can modify it if we need, but he's certainly an excellent chair, so I have no issue with him being chair. For sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved that Heather Amy is appointed confidential secretary to the highway superintendent for the year 2026.
Second.
Well, everybody's saying that.
So go ahead and second,
I think you.
I put right, I will.
You laid it up.
I'm gonna give it to Lori.
I put Lori.
I know, it's all in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that Cody Chase and Heather Amy are appointed deputy superintendents of highway for the year 2026. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Be it resolved that Ralph Van Cleek is appointed as shop supervisor for Woodstock Highway Department for the year 2026.
Second. Okay, I get it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to appoint Susan Painter, chairperson of the Woodstock Environmental Committee, term to expire 12/31/26.
Second, now we also need to put her back as a member, which there are 5 people in the environmental commission who are coming, whose membership expired at the end of 2025, and Susan was one of them. So I don't know if we want to modify it to clarify that she's a member and the chair. It may go without saying, but she is coming back on as a member.
So we can modify this to say, be it resolved to appoint Susan Painter, chair and member of the Woodstock Environmental Committee, term to expire 12/31/2026.
Right, and just so the public knows, Anil and I had a quick conversation before the meeting started. These are actually 2-year terms, so we may at the next meeting, we may change some terms to end 2027. But this gets everybody on the board so that they can vote at the next meeting, which is tomorrow. So we'll worry about the end dates, I think in the next meeting, but we'll get in one now as important.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
I think I did second that.
Yeah, I think
Laura.
I guess, we all seconded, I think.
Be it resolved to appoint Julia Blaylock,
Yeah, yes,
Lori Kirby, Arlene Weissman, and Ken Panza, members of the Woodstock Environmental Commission, term to expire 12/31/2026.
second.
All in favor?
And just so that Megan knows, Megan, we should get you these names later, because it wasn't on the original agenda. Laurie Kerb and Eileen Weissman and Ken Panzer will be adding those names, so if I get you afterwards.
Yes.
Okay, she'll.
She got you.
Be it resolved that Iris York is appointed member to the Ethics Board for calendar year 2026.
No, terms to end 12/31/28.
It's a 3-year.
28.
It's a 3 years.
Okay. Be it resolved that Iris York is appointed member to the Ethics Board for calendar year ending 2028, 12/31/2028.
Second.
Term to end 12/31/28.
28. That's
Yeah,
fine.
not calendar year,
Okay,
term to end.
so you said term to end, not
Term, right, term
Term.
to end.
term to end.
All in favor?
31/2020.
Aye.
Aye.
Second.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did second that.
Oh, second, Jones.
I think people are confused why we just leave 13.
I'm sorry, was that?
People are asking why we didn't.
Because that's what we're doing.
Yeah, no,
That's-
we skipped 13 because those 2 members actually did not have a term expire.
Gotcha.
So we didn't need to reappoint them, so Paul Watch and Allison Dodd, their terms continue, their term did not end in the end of.
So we're not,
Yeah, so number 13 is deleted. And now you're gonna mess up because all the numbers are okay.
Be it resolved to appoint Mary Smith, a member of Complete Streets Committee, term to expire 12/31/2026.
Second, both, we skip Grace Murphy.
Okay, we'll go back to Grace.
Sure. I'll second Mary Smith.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to appoint Grace Murphy, chairperson of Complete Streets Committee, term to expire 12/31/2027.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And I have all of those, but I'm a liaison between Complete Streets and WEC, so I'll be quiet for a bit and you guys can.
Be it resolved to appoint Jeff Keithline, Kathy Longyear, and Caitlin Vigliano
Yeah.
to the Camo Stewardship Committee, terms to expire 12/31/2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to appoint Judith Stellato,
Yeah, he'll take out. Yeah, she was Solano without.
Solano,
Yeah.
Solano.
chairperson of the Zoning Board of Appeals, term to expire 12/31/2026.
Is that only one year term?
That's what every single person had a chance to apply. That's what they resolved.
Okay. Second, okay.
Second, you have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to appoint Greg Goodrod, member of the Zoning Board of Appeals, term to expire 12/31/2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're going to defer an appointment to the, so. Do we, question for you, do we need to actually vote on any third appointment?
On the third appointment?
A table, we're tabling
Yeah, we're
something.
gonna table it.
Well, you vote the tables, if it's
It's a deferred appointment.
It's a-
so we won't do anything
on the Robert's rules, if you have not abused the resolution, there's nothing, you don't have to vote the table, just skip.
Okay,
So
so
if
just
the
accept.
resolution's already out there, we decide we don't want to deal with
Would you
it,
say
that's
Tom?
vote the table.
All right, be it resolved that Gordon and Svensson LLP is appointed town attorney for the town of Woodstock for the calendar year 2026. And the supervisor is authorized to execute a professional services agreement on file with the town clerk. All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that Gerben and Filazzo PC is appointed labor counsel for the town of Woodstock for the calendar year 2026. With compensation pursuant to a professional services agreement on file with the town clerk. All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that Ray O'Malley is appointed special counsel for the town of Woodstock for the calendar year 2026. With compensation pursuant to a professional services agreement on file with the town clerk. All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that Michael Richardson is reappointed as municipal consultant for workforce planning and labor relations for the town of Woodstock for the calendar year 2026 with compensation pursuant to a professional services agreement on file with the town clerk.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that John McGovern is appointed prosecutor for the town of Woodstock for the calendar year 2026 with compensation pursuant to a professional services agreement on file with the town clerk.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that Grenier and Larios PC is appointed town engineer for the town of Woodstock for the calendar year 2026 with compensation pursuant to a professional services agreement on file with the town clerk.
Second, oh, you got it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that UHY LLP CPA is appointed town auditor for the town of Woodstock for the calendar year 2026 to review monthly financial reports, prepare the annual update document, and assist with accounting matters with compensation pursuant to a professional services agreement on file with the town clerk.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that John Lyons is appointed legal counsel to the planning board and the zoning board of appeals for the calendar year 2026, and the supervisor is authorized to execute a professional services agreement on file with the town clerk.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved that the Ulster County SPCA is appointed dog control officer for the town of Woodstock for the calendar year 2026 pursuant to contract on file with the town clerk.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute a work order with Clo Harbor Engineers for environmental monitoring services at the closed Woodstock landfill for the calendar year 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Be it resolved that the town board hereby adopts the 2026 town board meeting schedule as attached. These meetings are to be held at the town offices 45 Como Drive or another location in the town of Woodstock designated in advance by the town board when possible and via the internet. And there is an attachment that has the town board meeting schedule.
And I'll second the flip to the discussion. So I noticed it looks like we're moving to the first meeting of the month in a number of months. Because I know we've been traditionally the second and the third, although if the third was early, it would be pushed back to the fourth so that more bills could get paid. So it looks like a lot of months now we're the second, now we're the first.
First and third.
Yes, I don't know if there was a reason for that, or just,
It works with attorneys.
or which one.
So that's the schedule.
Sounds good, just curious, but we all know, so we're all good.
Thank you. Was that?
I seconded it, I seconded it.
All in favor?
I, and there's one quick typo.
Yeah.
Sorry, my that was making.
Be it resolved that Hudson Valley One is designated the official newspaper of the town of Woodstock for the calendar year 2026. Town notices to be published in Wednesday editions.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Be it resolved that the town clerk is responsible for public and media notice of meetings of the town board and for advertisements authorized by the town board.
second,
All in favor?
I,
Be it resolved pursuant to New York State Town Law 64 that the Bank of Greene County is designated as the official depository for the supervisor, town clerk, tax collector, and town court for the calendar year 2026.
Right? Second.
All in favor?
I,
Be it resolved that the town supervisor and budget officer are authorized signatories on town accounts and are authorized to transfer funds among town accounts.
second, for purpose of discussion, if I may. So, and I guess I haven't remembered what we did in previous years, so that's both you're the budget officer and the supervisor. And I'm just curious, because we have other people, are you the only one that can sign checks, so the clerk never signs checks?
So the clerk does.
But I don't transfer any, I just,
The actual authorization for transfer.
Oh, okay, would be the supervisor, okay. So that was for discussion, so I guess we go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved that payment for payroll, benefits, utilities, insurance, debt service, and routine operational expenses may be made prior to audit, subject to subsequent audit by the town boards.
Second,
All in favor?
aye,
Be it resolved that a fee of $25 shall be charged for each check returned for insufficient funds.
second,
All in favor?
aye,
Be it resolved that all expense accounts rendered under the authority of this resolution shall, before being paid, be audited and approved by the town board.
Second.
All in favor?
aye,
Be it resolved that the members of this town board and other town officials shall be reimbursed by the town for expenses incurred executing the duties of their office, not including personal expenses, but including expenses for the use of public transportation or personal automobile for travel out of town, whichever is less costly unless otherwise approved in advance by the town supervisor. Personal automobile travel will be reimbursed at the 2026 IRS reimbursement rate 72.5 cents per mile. Meals shall be reimbursed at $30 per day, prorated for partial days, including gratuities, not to exceed 18%, but excluding alcoholic beverages. For business in New York City, the meal allowance shall be $50 per day.
second,
All in favor?
aye,
Aye. Be it further resolved that the highway superintendent be reimbursed for expenses to provide beverages and meals to highway department personnel when weather conditions force extended hours of work.
second,
All in favor?
aye. And we appreciate our highway department, especially this time of year.
Be it resolved that the superintendent of highways shall be authorized to rent equipment at a rate not to exceed $500 per hour for the year 2026.
Second,
All in favor?
aye,
Be it resolved that all official undertakings and bonds by the officers, clerks, or employees of the town of Woodstock may be in the form of a blanket undertaking from the New York Municipal Insurance Reciprocal and said blanket undertaking shall indemnify the town of Woodstock against the loss of the type more particularly set forth in the Article 2, Section 11 of the Public Officers Law, and shall constitute a guarantee for elected and appointed officials, officers, and employees of the town of Woodstock for the faithful performance of their duties and the prompt and proper account for paying over all money received by said employees in their official capacities. Be it further resolved that all officers and or employees of the town will be bonded by a blanket bond in the amount of $5,000, except that the following positions will carry an additional surety bond in the amount of $10,000. Court clerk, town supervisor, and tax collector.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adoption of the 2026 salary schedule. Be it resolved that the town board adopts the 2026 salary schedule as established in the adopted 2026 town budget and applicable collective bargaining agreements as set forth in the attached chart.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And that is on the town website, by the way, on the calendar page. This agenda is there on this meeting, and all these documents the meeting says are attached are in fact there.
Thank you. Be it resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute agreements for the calendar year 2026 with Family of Woodstock, Meals on Wheels, American Legion Post 1026, Blue Diamond Septic LLC, and Bob Gehring Septic.
Second. Yeah, for purpose of discussion, if I may. So do we have amounts? I know some years we say we give each $100. So as you're authorized to execute agreements, normally the town will give money, and do we know what the money will be?
Be the same as last year, and I can follow up with the town board and get those amounts.
Okay.
And just to finish that, be it further resolved that the town supervisors authorized to sign the agreement with Munistat Services for the year 2026.
We had a second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved that a special meeting of the town board is scheduled for January 22nd, 2026 at 11 a.m. for the purpose of auditing the justice court, town clerk, tax collector, and town supervisor offices.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the town board hereby adopts the following rules of order for the conduct of town board meetings for the calendar year 2026. The town supervisor or the deputy town supervisor shall conduct the meetings. 2 or more town board members request an item be placed on the agenda. It will be included. Public be heard shall occur at the end of each regularly scheduled meeting, allowing up to 8 members of the public to speak to the board for up to 3 minutes each. In instances, the town board is told it shall be by alphabetical order by last name. The town will post resolutions prior to the meeting to the extent practical. But if a resolution cannot be posted in advance, it may still be considered for action at the meeting. Resolutions not posted on the agenda, except those amending resolutions on the table, shall not be considered shall be considered after agenda items have been disposed.
Getting rid of
We're
none.
gonna get rid of the not.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Can you keep it up? Thank you.
Yeah, shall, at the last.
Yeah.
Got
I
it.
get rid of none.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Be it resolved that the town board adopts the 2026 short-term rental fee schedule as set forth in the attached schedule. And there are no changes, we just want to put set up with.
Second, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the town board adopts the 2026 holiday schedule for town employees as set forth in the attached schedule.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the attached sheet enumerating the standard workdays for the listed titles is adopted for the purpose of reporting to the New York State and local employees retirement system.
Thank you for your publicity stuff. So just curious whether any of the standard work days changed from year to year.
No. No,
Okay,
we're good, same as last year.
so I did second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Be it resolved that the town board hires Carl Anderson as a part-time police officer effective January 6th, 2026 at the hourly rate of $30.90.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Carl was a full-time police officer, who now has switched to be part-time.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
And thanks to Carl for staying with us. Be it resolved that Woodstock Town Board will schedule a public hearing on proposed amendments to the Town of Woodstock zoning law map, chapter 260, on February 3rd, 2026 at 7:10 PM at the town offices, 45 Como Drive, Woodstock, New York. And be it further resolved that the town clerk is authorized to advertise said public hearing in the official town newspaper in accordance with the law. That's it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So before we move to publicly heard, there are going to be just a few announcements. I wanted to update people as far as the transition. Today was our third day in office, and a very high level update is that things are moving along well. We'll share more information over the coming days as far as the details. But what I wanted to do was to say thank you so much to the town employees. The town employees have stepped up in a really significant way to help this administration figure out everything. And I wanna, literally everything. I particularly want to call out the clerk's office. So a very large thank you to Megan and to Michelle. They helped both Yvonne, myself, really get oriented and navigate some complicated problems. So thank you very, very much. And, Lily, did you have an announcement?
Oh, when we were looking over the agenda for the holiday schedule, I brought up something that I think is near and dear to a lot of our hearts, and they kind of promised that I'd bring it up. I think we're gonna work on creating a Jogger John Day. And it's gonna be a day of community and cleaning and caring, and so I guess I'm kind of heading this, but it's gonna be with a lot of community input, so. If anyone wants to reach out about suggestions or ideas, but basically a day of giving back to the community in the true spirit of Jogger John, so we don't have to just. Relate him to how the sidewalks look now, you know, that's gonna be fun.
And in the coming couple of weeks, we'll be announcing some task forces to look at things like a 311 system. We'll be looking at a website, etc. I also want to call out, I didn't see you, Don. You were back there and now you're there. I want to say thank you. So our highway superintendent, Don Allen, and myself, we met. We talked about the snow on the sidewalks. The supervisor's office received a quote to help clean a lot of that snow up. And we'll be talking about that tomorrow so that we can keep our residents safe. So I appreciate that very much. We're going to move to public be heard. Speakers are gonna be limited to 3 minutes. There will be up to 8 people talking. So please come up to the table, just announce your name. If you wanna provide your address, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. In future meetings, I'm hoping that we can have public be heard somehow. Allow folks who are on Zoom to participate in the 8. We'll look into that. Any comments should be directed to the chair. During this period of time, the town board will not respond. So this is not the time for back and forth. This is a time for us to sit here and listen to what's top of your mind. Your concerns, your hopes, your issues, things that you want to bring to our attention. So that's what we're gonna do. Any questions for the board could be dealt with before town board meetings, after town board meetings, or tomorrow morning. But so can we go with you?
So I'm gonna hold the timer, I'm gonna set it for a few minutes once you begin speaking. Alan Weber? Hi, Alan.
Hello. Where should I stand? Okay. Look, what?
Should I start with being resolved?
We've had enough of those. No comments, I apologize.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate and or welcome back to members. This could be a fresh start for a town, an opportunity to heal divisions and come together to solve the array of problems that plagued us for too long. I made a list of New Year's resolutions, things that we hopefully can resolve to work together on for the benefit of all Woodstockers, not just the favorite few. We should resolve to have safe drinking water. To do so, I hope an independent hydrologist or hydrogeologist will be hired to guide us, and that the quarterly testing will be maintained on schedule and with transparent communication. We should resolve to finally put an end to the shady dump scandal. I hope you will decide to follow the prescribed means of accomplishing this, which would be to reissue the reissuance of the notice of violation to the property owner, so that legal action can follow. We should resolve to take care of our homeless and vulnerable neighbors. They should at very least have an available bathroom during overnight hours and a place to be safe and warm during this brutal winter, while better long-term solutions are imagined. We should resolve to do everything we can to reinvigorate Woodstock with youth. To this end, there are several important goals to consider. First, we need a creative and multifaceted approach to affordable housing. Included would be the use of town-owned land in partnership with organizations like RECPA. If zoning changes become part of the equation, they must include the requirement that any first ADU be affordable and owner occupied, and must not be a gateway for real estate profiteers in or out of Woodstock to further exploit our town for the benefit of wealthy transients and second homers. Second, we have to be ambitious in developing a youth center and youth programs and facilities that will keep our current families with children and entice others to move here. Third, although it's not in the purview of the board, we need to have a school. We have to keep fighting as citizens to keep Woodstock Elementary open. And should that ultimately fail, your help and support will be needed as people work on alternate plans, whether it be a community school or a progressive charter school. Finally, we should resolve to strengthen our human rights provisions with strong and specific protections for those most targeted by the federal administration, immigrants, the trans/LGBTQ community, people of color, women, etc. There are people who have been active in these initiatives who are able and willing to support and help the realization of your campaign promises. We're hoping for your success. And now for your second week of work.
Thank you. Mike?
Congratulations, and I'd just like to say I appreciate that there were some really positive and positive campaigning, and you know, it was kind of it was a comfort to see the attacking not disintegrate into everybody just shouting, and to keep the focus on what we need to do and what we hope to do was refreshing. So thank you all for that. I want to get in front of the next tourist season. Okay, the artist colony and all of the small businesses, all of them that profit off of, you know, they've really taken the beating in the last 4 years. So there's a couple of things, and there are others that have a lot of ideas. We did a lot of outreach while we were discussing this over the last several years, but the last resolution that you passed had to do with, or it was about a zoning, or a zoning, okay, that's important. We haven't been able to have a discussion between stakeholders and the people who are doing the zoning. And the petition that prompted all of this mayhem that's happened in our entertainment tourism industry, that came about due to a petition that was passed around in 2019, asking specifically that we address the outdated and unenforceable DB regulations that have always existed. It caused a conflict that forced our police to say, well, this part of the law says this, and then it was selective enforcement. Certain businesses and types of businesses could make as much noise as they want, you know, and entertainers were being real. So with that in mind, I'm looking to get people together and stakeholders to and looking for a way for the board to facilitate conversation between the various parties that are working on this. And just to move on from that, we need to get our name back out there. We need to reclaim our reputation. So in support of that, I'm looking for, and I have someone that wants to help produce it. We're gonna add another show to the TV station. So I'd like to get on that, see how I register for that. I want to get trained by Ellen. But that specific show is going to be about the town's legacy, the town's history, and what's coming up, upcoming events. And working through the TV station and the community center there, trying to get a bridge there to get our creative community working together, and we have a lot of people that are organizing on some of them, but we want some support for certain things like, a town concert series. But there are a lot of ideas and I don't want to spend any more time here. I just wanted to let you know that, this can't wait until we dealt with it. We have to get in front of it. Zoning things coming up. We have to find some way at least to get this season to be able to function in a less chaotic fashion so that we can all make a lot of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Little out here, so excited. Anyway, I love all the awesomeness and the good energy. Thank you for all your work and for what you guys have done and like last couple of years. I'll just be trying to do a little quick. I'm so excited about the Starter Draw Day. That's what's today. And then I guess what I'm really looking forward to, what I think is one of the more really important things is balance. Balance between year-round community members and short-term residents. And the short-term residents could be, break it up into tourists and second homeowners, etc. But I think we need a better balance, and to build back our community for our businesses, for the people that live here, workers and the artists. And I want to add on to everybody's already said great things, so I want to keep that. Part of that is the housing affordability. I'm really happy to see that that's on the agenda, that we're gonna have a public hearing and start looking on the zoning, which I've spent a lot of personal time working on myself. And hopefully to tweak that to make it better for the whole community. And get moving forward so that we can have partnerships and do our P's and our Q's and start moving forward on that. But also the short-term rental enforcement. That is a quick win. I have information on that I can share with you guys that is specific to that there are the different modules to help, because at the moment we just have one. That's being paid by the county, but we're not using the enforcement module, which would free up time for our zoning department, our building department, so they can do their other jobs. That I feel like they're kind of chicken their head to cut off running around, working really hard. But I think it's kind of no brainer, and the short-term rental fees pay for it. So I'm hoping to move forward on that as well. And that's about it. Everybody else's. Okay. Rachel?
Hi. Thank you all for taking this on. It's a lot. To sort of reiterate what many have said, a lot of I feel that as a citizen, that we're at a point where I'm finally standing in front of a town board that I believe really does want to work with us and actually include us in this process. And, to Michael's point, we actually start this administration with a passable. We already did the work, Mike. We already did the work. We have a passable ordinance that just needs to be looked at and support the community in understanding what that means. There's a lot of things that you get to take off on the ground running with the support of those of us within the community who are doing that. I also want to ask this community, Like, can we just move away from identifying issues and squawking about them all day? Let's actually do something about it. We can make the change, we don't have to, we've identified the issues and trust, I know y'all know that. I'm a little bit worried about civic design, we've spent 4 or 5 years and tons of money on discussing housing. Come on, man, $200,000, and Pat is sitting here, and we don't even have an extra new different program in the youth center. It's time to make some shift. I was very excited about an all-women board. I'm a little disappointed about going backwards to Reggie. Gotta say it out loud, love him dearly, but sorry it wasn't you. I want to be in alignment with what March asked us, which is to hold you accountable with grace. And that means offering solutions and being present. So I'm here. It was like Chamber is here. We've been laying dormant, kind of waiting a little bit because we want to be in relationship with our governance rather than, in an us them situation. So I'm very excited. I'm super happy to see you all here. Arts and culture and business. The chamber is here. Please work with us. We're ready to support you. I've been on Main Street and behind the counter, in front of the counter, on all the different sides since 1982. So we're here to help you. And we're excited that you want our help. Let's go.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. All in favor?
It's not too late.
Send.
A lot of people don't know.